Well, if you've been thinking about writing a book, you will not want to miss my next guest. Her name is Ruth Schwartz, and she shares some fantastic insights on being an entrepreneur working from home, especially in the publishing world. And Ruth brings over 50 years of experience in book publishing, design, and printing to every author's project. And since 2012, she's actually worked on over 200 independently published books, benefiting from the indie publishing revolution, which is enabled by print-on-demand technology, which is so popular today. I'm Gail Bates, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to my series on entrepreneurs working from home, where I interview so many different entrepreneurs from around the world. As someone who's been a home-based entrepreneur for over 20 years myself, I deeply understand the challenges of staying organized, managing time, and just avoiding overwhelm in today's fast-paced world. Each entrepreneur I interview really brings their own unique journey, and you're going to love Ruth's story today because it's no exception. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do, especially if you're keen on productivity and time management tips from entrepreneurs all over the world. And don't forget to hit the button for notifications on all the valuable insights coming up in those future interviews. In my interview with Ruth, we discuss how we reconnected on LinkedIn. There's a positive for you for social media. You'll love learning how Ruth continues to serve her community through her passion for books. So get ready to learn about the publishing world from Ruth Schwartz. Welcome, Ruth. It's so lovely to see you and catch up with you after all these years. And you, I know, have been an entrepreneur working from home probably just as long as I have. And, you know, we were talking earlier about there is so much to do in being an entrepreneur. I have quite a few questions to ask you here today. So let's begin with, what is the one thing that you feel keeps you consistent in being an entrepreneur working from home?
Wow. I think I have to tell a little bit of a backstory because when I first met you, Gail, I had just come off of a 17-year stint working for someone else.
Right.
A graphic design and marketing firm. And we, because of 9/11, everything started, not being as successful as it was.
Right.
And so the owner of the company, who was a good friend of mine, who I'd known for like 30 some years, he decided to close the company. And at that point, I decided, that I really never wanted to go back to working for someone else. Not that I hated the experience. It was a wonderful experience. And the owner treated me like a partner, and all of that. I had a lot of control and, all of that, so I dealt with it very much as an entrepreneur.
Right.
In 2003, when we closed it, I said, okay, I'm done, and I had gone back and forth between working for someone else and being an entrepreneur. And I got a whole history of doing that kind of flip-flop, but in 2003, I said, this is it. Okay. And so the thing about working for myself is I have control.
Yes.
And as a friend of mine said to me the other day, you love to be in control.
I love that. Maybe that's a trait for all entrepreneurs who work from home.
I really think it is, that we want control, we want to be able to, decide which way things are going and which way they're not. And, but it has other things, to, contribute to that,
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
walk me through your daily routine. How do you start your day?
Well, it used to be when I first met you, I was working, 16-hour days. I had, I was doing work for you, but I had a handful of other clients, and I was doing websites, And those kinds of things just have you stay up to all kinds of hours. So I started setting some boundaries, especially when I started this business, which in 2012. And I got very clear of what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I no longer work those kinds of hours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty much get started about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I cut it off at 6:30 at night. Okay.
You're still working quite a few hours.
It is, but I take a break in the middle of the day. I take
that's good.
At least an hour and sometimes 2 hours.
Right.
Have a bite to eat, put my feet up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Veg out in front of the television, just do something other than, move things forward.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then I have time blocks, so I block out, 2.5 hours or so in the morning.
Right.
As a work session, and then one in the afternoon.
Yes.
There's room, before and after those to handle email and things like that. In fact, recently I've just been, refining that whole thing. I'm sure like you have a massive to-do list. And,
exactly.
Between all the things, both home and work, and all of that, there's just a lot to take care of. So I've been looking at how to get even more streamlined, in terms of what I do. And email can be a huge time suck.
Right. Yes.
And
time wasters. We have to be aware of those time wasters, don't we?
Really, But I have to say, Gail, sometimes it's what I need to do to give my brain a break.
Yes, that's a really good point. Yes.
I find it right, basically. I decide that, okay, I'm going to spend, I'm going to go check my email. And I know people say that you should set a time limit and all that kind of stuff. Right. I really do, but I fit it in between other appointments and, projects and things like that.
Yeah.
But I find it to be a relief. And especially if I'm dealing with client emails, where what I can do by answering an email is just move the project forward.
Right. Yes. So there's benefits to that as well.
Yeah.
Fine. I like to do the 15-minute thing with emails. Where you just spend 15 minutes. But I love the idea. I mean, I'm very big into time blocking myself.
Oh, good.
And I think that, so how do you time block? Do you look at your week and block out specific times for specific projects, or?
Well, sometimes. What I've done, I'm a Mac person, so I use the Apple tools, the Apple Calendar, and I put in repeating, blocks of time, for every day, but Thursday morning still. So I have a morning. I'm way better in the mornings than I am in the afternoons.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
Not everybody. You'd be surprised. There are some people,
that is true. There are some
people who, really come to life in the afternoon. I don't understand it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I have already blocked out my calendar, and then I have a program called Arranger, ARRANGR, Arranger.com. And it's a scheduling app, basically. And I have allocated certain slots for new people. Okay. So someone, if they are, quote, qualified, if they are, with my business, I'm looking for people who have basically a finished manuscript. So it's been professionally edited at least once.
Yes.
And maybe twice, in terms of getting, all the punctuation and grammar and everything done. However, I often look at it and will, include that in what I do. But that's what I'm looking for. And when I come across people like that, if I feel like they're ready for the book production piece
Right.
of self-publishing,
Yeah.
I give them that link and they can, but I only have like 3 slots a week,
Right.
for that
Right.
kind of thing.
So that you fit those into your time.
Right. And then I have, some seminars that I attend fairly regularly. I have a co-working session with a group that I'm involved with on Monday mornings, which is really great for getting the week going.
Yeah.
And it doesn't start till 10. So I have time to check my emails and stuff.
Right.
And the guy who leads it, Robbie Samuels, he always says at the beginning, focus on something that will generate income.
Yeah. Those wealth-building activities. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I have that, and he has another group, like a networking mastermind kind of thing that I also attend usually on Friday afternoons. And those are like the bookends to my week.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah.
And so I try to be flexible, and I try to pay attention to what's going on with my body. And sometimes I just push through to get something done, but I always cut it off at 6:30. And my husband and I have an agreement that we will both take a break from whatever we're doing and get together, and I hate to say it, but watch the news.
Yeah.
And have a bite to eat together, and that's my cutoff. And rarely do I go back to my desk. After that.
I think that's such wise advice for any entrepreneur working from home. You have to have a cutoff time. When for me it's 4:00 actually, because I have my tea at 4:00.
Yes.
But and it's just an unwind time, which I think we all need because we are so involved, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now I love the fact that you use this tech tool, the Arranger. Do you use any other tech tools that you?
Oh my God. I did a workshop with someone who specializes in helping people, see where they're duplicating their tech, kind of thing. And she had me make a list of everything. I had like 16 to 20 different things that I was using. And there was only 2 that were like duplicating. And that was, in terms of saving passwords. So I have, I use LastPass, but I also, I'm on a Mac, it has a built-in, password, but I haven't looked at that list in a while, but, just even this morning, I was using my Apple Calendar, reminders. I use WhatsApp because I often communicate with people around the world.
Yeah.
And I did not go on social media today, yet.
Yay.
And that I actually reserve for, this is going to sound crazy, but I wake up and of course my phone is right there.
Right.
And I have a half hour where, I have a medication I take that I can't eat anything, for half hour. So, okay, this half hour, I'll just check Facebook, and I also have a regular LinkedIn commitment every week. So, today I did, I don't know, 5 or 6 different pieces of technology already.
Right.
So,
right.
And it just depends. I use Evernote, although I'm thinking about, phasing out of that, but it has so much content and it's password protected. So I can put, sort of confidential type things in there.
Right.
There's just a lot of, technology that I just use as happenstance. And, it's makes it easier, just makes
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's interesting that you were asked to make that list. If all of us made that list, we'd probably be like you and find that we have this list of technology tools that some we're using, some we're not using, some are just duplicates of others. So that's a really interesting point. I think a lot of people will be now taking a look at, wow, how many apps do I use, or what technology tools am I using? Yeah. So I'm going to switch things up because I love looking at your office and looking at the books and the beautiful things. And, what do you do to create an effective workspace that inspires you to want to work every day?
Oh, wow. Well, I have my iMac in front of me that has my camera. And then over here, I have a second monitor that is both 24 inches.
Yeah.
And I try to keep, the area clear. I'm in the midst of getting rid of the piles that were over here on the table.
Yeah.
And, and there's stuff over here on the floor that, needs to go out, or, I need to do something with it. There's a box sitting there that my cat crawled under this morning because I'm sort of doing a purge, and I need to get into the file drawers, it's a beautiful oak desk.
Right.
And I have all this light. When we bought this place 14 years ago, I said, okay, this is my home office.
Right.
And, this is all natural light that you're seeing on my face. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus the front door. I think that is such great advice. Yeah.
I am too. I am looking at light coming into my office.
Yeah.
And I think you're going for entrepreneurs who are looking at setting up a space. Light is probably the number one factor in setting up your space.
Yeah. And I look out on, we live in a mobile home park that was developed back in the early 70s. So big magnolia trees and maple trees and green between the streets. So I see other mobile homes facing me, but I have all this greenery around me also.
Yes.
And I think that's another, important feature.
I think it's true. Looking out at nature, my daughter calls that having a green bath.
Well, the Japanese call it forest bathing.
Yeah. Yes.
You go for a walk in the forest. They call it forest bathing.
Yes. I love that too. Yes.
Yeah.
So do you have any kind of routines, like where you start your day, how you end your day, or any other kind of routines that you have that really help you in your business, keep yourself motivated and inspired?
Well, I do. I think we all do well with rituals.
Yes.
And so when I come in to the kitchen, which is behind me, and I have reminders showing up, and I'll make my coffee, and grab a bottle of water, and I'll bring both and come sit at my desk, my vitamins that are right over here.
I love it.
And then I can start drinking my coffee.
Yeah.
And when I start drinking my coffee, when I can get into my day.
Yeah. Great. I love that. That's kind of your morning ritual. Yeah.
Right. And as I was talking to my friend last night, I often will check email first.
Right.
And hopefully I've set myself some sort of appointment with someone else. I'm way better still. After all these years, I'm way better at keeping commitments with other people than I am with myself.
That's a very good point, keeping appointments with other people, yes, because we tend to brush off ourselves, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I can do that later,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But I also have a business coach now.
And, great. Yeah.
I've been doing that off and on with the same coach for the past year or so.
Yeah.
No, not even. I hired her originally when I was a sponsor for the Women in Publishing Summit, which happens in March.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it has been about a year that I originally signed up as a sponsor, and they asked me for all sorts of things that I really didn't have already done.
Right.
Just a bio.
Right.
So I procrastinate. And so I kept pushing and saying, okay, I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do this the next day. So finally I hired this amazing woman who's also a writer and knows publishing. And we have a lot in common.
Mm-hmm.
But she was basically my outside nudge,
Right. Yes.
He helped me prioritize the things that I needed to get done just for that project.
Yes.
So that I get them done. And then more recently, I hired her back again to help me move my business to another level. I'm working on a 12-week course that is really a DIY kind of program for people who want to self-publish their books.
Yeah.
But they don't want to spend, the kind of money to hire someone like me or a hybrid publisher or anything like that.
So they can do it themselves. I love that.
But they need the education. I found so many people who just make mistakes.
Right.
They're easily, avoided.
Yes. It's such a huge world. The self-publishing world is huge right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was going to move to the next question, which was talking a little bit about connections and collaborations as an entrepreneur working from home, because we can become isolated. So we have to take initiative in making sure that we do collaborate and connect with others. What are ways that you collaborate or make connections? Do you still network, or do you leave the house and connect with people? How do you work it?
The answer to that last question, not if I can help it. Okay. So in the past, let's see, what year are we in? 24. In the past 11 years, I've broken my right femur twice. Okay. So I'm still hobbling around with a cane. And so venturing out, I can go meet somebody for coffee and all that. But to be honest, it's not very efficient.
Right.
And in-person networking kind of took a dive with the pandemic.
Right.
And I had already been actively connecting with people online via Zoom.
Right.
One of my main areas is an organization called the Bay Area Independent Publishers Association.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the link to that to put in the notes.
Okay.
But they, with the pandemic, they made a big commitment to always have Zoom meetings.
Right.
And the audience is my audience. They're the people that I need to talk to. So I sit on the board. I involved with programs and membership and been doing all sorts of things. So I've become pretty well known, in that group.
Yep.
And so it's not about a general networking in like a Rotary Club or anything.
Right.
Like
that.
But or some sort of there's a LinkedIn local group here in Novato, and I keep getting the invites. I said, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to have to get more dressed,
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. And I don't need to, I am blessed with a steady stream of referrals.
Right.
So and then the work I'm doing with this guy, Robbie Samuels, who actually originally, when the pandemic hit, he was becoming quite known as a coach around networking, how to be a more effective in-person networker.
Right.
So totally pivot, his business.
Yeah.
And
I love it that you made a commitment to join an organization and get on the board and be of service, and I think that is another way to become known, become visible for entrepreneurs who work from home, is take on a specific area that appeals to you and how your expertise can help them. And I think that's what you've done, and it's worked marvelously for you, right?
Back in the 70s, 80s, I was involved with San Francisco Women in Advertising. And I did the same thing because I do come from service, like how can I help, how can I bring my background and my connections and all of that, to the party. And it is a wonderful way to be present and available.
Yes.
Without, quote, selling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love that. So I'm going to switch this up a little here. What are the challenges that you face as an entrepreneur working from home? How do you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge, as we touched on earlier, is keeping my commitments to myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, working on something because I said, I'm going to work on this right now.
Right. Yeah.
And if it's a client project, then I have that motivation to keep that project moving.
Yeah. I think that's huge. I think that is probably one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face from home.
Yeah.
Keep commitments to yourself. That is great advice. Yeah.
And I have been writing, one book, and now I'm working on a second book.
Right.
Neither of which are published yet.
Oh my gosh. And you're the self-publisher.
Yeah, I know. It's this whole shoemaker's kid.
I was going to say that. Yes. Yeah.
And the first book that my husband wrote, a good chunk of it, is all about our nonprofit food program, which we have a unique perspective and approach, to. So I figured if the more I talk about it more, in interviews like this, then maybe I actually get it done. And he's been very patient with me over too many years about getting this book published.
Yeah.
And then I want to take all my knowledge that I've gained since 2012, when the publishing industry was turned on its head with this, with print on demand technology.
Right.
And I'm working on a course, as I mentioned.
Yes.
But so I want to turn all of that into a book, so.
Right.
So
what advice would you give?
Well, wait a minute. Those projects are the things that get short shrift.
Okay. I was going to say, so what advice would you give yourself?
Good, Gail.
This is advice for entrepreneurs as well that are watching this today. What advice would you give yourself in sticking to the commitments for you?
Have an outside, what do you call it?
Having a coach or
accountability partner.
Yes. Yeah.
And having a coach that I'm paying.
Yes. Will make you. Yes. That's good advice. Yes.
And, my arrangement with my coach is such that I can email her, in between sessions.
Yes.
Say, what do you think about this? Or I'm stuck with this, about changing things up here, and she'll get back to me right away through email. So I think having a coach is really a good idea.
Yes, I agree. A coach is an accountability partner, really.
Right.
But if you can't afford a coach, having someone who you can be accountable to on a at least weekly basis, if not daily,
Well, daily is a little much,
Yeah. I actually talked to an entrepreneur in one of my videos, and I will link that for other people, that she does do it daily. They do a 10-minute accountability every day. And I was very impressed with the way that she works on that as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
before I started working with this coach, I've been in other programs, but I also organized a volunteer mastermind. There were like
Yes.
four women, and would meet on Zoom once a week.
Yeah.
And it was accountability and also problem solving. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So if
Two
we were stuck
important
somewhere.
parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that paid, or was it no? You
Oh,
just did it with people. It's
yeah.
really, yeah. And I think it leads into my next question with you about professional development, because connecting with like-minded people that are as committed as you are in building your own world, building your business, working from home is so important. And so what do you do to invest? I mean, obviously you invest in a coach. Is there anything else that you do that you invest in for professional development? Or resources that maybe you'd recommend?
Well, there's a couple that are very, my industry focused. Okay.
Yes.
There's a woman named Rebecca Cuevas, who has a free Q&A check-in kind of session every Saturday morning.
Wow.
And I drop in when I can. I often two Saturdays a month I have commitments with BEPA, the policy group. But I will drop in, and especially if I'm feeling stuck. And she is an amazing instructional designer. She has a book called The Course Design Formula.
Wow.
And, and she's just, a very generous, easy person, to, hang with.
Okay.
And so she'll do it for like 2 hours, and sometimes it'll go longer, because she's trying to help someone solve a problem. But I'm very much in service. So I feel a lot of kinship with her. Great. The other thing that I've done is also industry, but not publishing industry, but online course.
Right.
I've been working with a company called Miracy, that's headed up by a guy named Danny Inney. That I've done all sorts of courses, and I'm in their membership program.
Right.
And I have access to all kinds of resources there. And I think every 2 weeks there's a session where I can bring questions and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
So I have those, and then I really avoid signing up for anything else.
Yeah. Well, I think that's quite a lot. And I think we'll put some of those links below. Okay. Yeah. Other people can learn from them as well. So, big question here that I ask everybody: work-life balance. How do you maintain a healthy work-life balance working from home?
Well, one of the things is I cut things off at 6:30. Like, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yes.
Yes, there's always more to be done, but I'm done for the day. So I really try to make sure that I've covered, the absolutely most important things that I need to get done that day. And everything else will just wait. Sometimes I will sit, while we're watching television and stuff together, I will sit with my phone and I will send quick little emails or texts to clients, just to wrap things up. So I can't say I've totally stopped, but I've gotten away from my desk and away from the computer and, all of that. But I might take care of a few things just via my phone. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing is that Kurt, who is the main, is the lead volunteer for our nonprofit. He's just 82 years old. And he still gets up at 6 o'clock every morning. Yeah. Feeds the cat, and then is out the door by 7 to go pick up food at these different stores, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's.
Right.
And then he delivers to a particular location, and our focus is on lower income seniors.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we finally got him at 1 day off. Okay. So he has Thursdays off. And so when that first fell into place, I decided I would take Thursdays off and
Good.
we'd go for a drive in the country and,
Right.
out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we're also doing a drive on Fridays because we take food into the city, into San Francisco.
Wow. That's
Filling in
amazing.
for a good friend of ours who passed away about a year ago. And he used
Yeah.
to do that every other week.
Yeah.
So we decided to continue his legacy and do that ourselves. So we get to spend some time together, driving. Both of us like to drive, although I usually
Sounds
do.
to me like a self-care service.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in service, but we're also doing something is fun and gratifying to us.
Right. Yes. Yes. I love that. I
Yeah.
love.
So
Yeah.
those are the main things, cutting things off at 6:30.
Yeah.
And occasionally, depending, we don't go every week into the city. So then sometimes on Thursdays or even on Friday afternoon,
Right. Yeah.
go do something fun. So I'm not working
Well,
every day till 6:30. Fridays are different sometimes, and then Thursdays are sometimes also different. But
yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I think that's something unique that I haven't talked with anyone else about is the self-care service and being of service to others. That's wonderful, Ruth.
Yeah, thank you.
So, kind of last question here is why? Can you share why you love being an entrepreneur working from home?
Oh, control.
We go back to the first question.
Right. I finally acknowledged that I love being in control, and I love control of my life, and how I spend my time.
Yes.
And what I spend my time on.
Yes. Yes.
That's actually the same thing, how I spend my time, what I spend my time. But it's I'm now at an age where my commitment is to having a pleasurable life.
Right. Right.
And yes, the money's great, and one of the reasons I want to do this course is to have another income stream, in case something happens to me and I decide that I don't want to work all these hours all the time.
Right. Right.
It's not totally passive income because in the way the online course industry has become it's always good to have a live component, as part of
right.
it.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
But yeah, I just like being able to run things.
Yes.
I have grown a team over the years of, book designers and Photoshop people and editors that I can pull in at any particular time. And I've gotten way better in the last few years of delegating, to my team instead of just saying, oh, I can do this myself.
Yes, good. Yes, that is a very good advice to learn how to delegate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so would you share with us a little bit about your business, how people can connect with you and what services you do offer?
Well, the main service I offer is helping authors take a finished book manuscript and turning it into a well-published book through the self-publishing process. Right. So there's still traditional publishers out there. There's small publishers. There's hybrid publishers. And there are people like me who provide what I call, actually what the industry is now calling, assisted self-publishing services.
Okay.
It's, I have a lot of seniors who are my clients, a lot of them in their 80s, who really are not technically savvy. I am almost, in my 80s, but I love tech and I've learned how to do all sorts of things. And they say, just Ruth, you handle it. So I handle the whole process for them. I pull the information out that I need from them. And we turn, a bunch of words into a finished book that you can hold in your hand.
Great. And We will put your connections in the description below, okay?
Yeah.
And then do you have any free resources that you offer?
Yes, I have a PDF. It's about 7 pages, I think, that is, let's quote, all the steps you need to know to self-publish your book.
Okay.
And I decided, most of people in my industry give like a 1-pager with 10 tips or something like that. And I said, there's so much more involved and people need to know what they're getting into.
Right.
So I decided to be generous and create something that covers all the steps. It doesn't have a lot of description of each step. That's for my book.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a 2025 project, I think. But I will give you a link, that you can put in the notes, so people can get that. They can also
and I want to click on that link. Okay, so
yeah. They could also go to my website, which is thewonderlady.com.
Right. Yes.
And that it's right there, on the website also. So.
Well, Ruth, you are the wonderlady.com store. Okay. It has just been a delight to chat with you today. And you have given us so many amazing tips for entrepreneurs who are working from home that they're going to love every little tip that you have shared with us today. So thanks so much for being on the show today.
You're welcome, Gail. It's been a delight to reconnect with you and to do this kind of thing with you.
What I loved most about this interview with Ruth were the so many connections she mentioned. So if you're interested in entering the publishing world, you definitely want to check the links in the description, along with her freebie, which is called All the Steps You Need to Self-Publish a Book. I also appreciated her powerful statement about maintaining control as an entrepreneur working from home while living a fulfilling life. It's clear how much she enjoys the freedom of being an entrepreneur, while she also finds time to give back through her many philanthropic efforts. Now, my question for you today is, if you could learn one new skill or make a key connection to help you grow in your field, what would it be? I'd love you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming interviews that are happening very soon, and I'll see you in the next video.